So the Jurassic World trilogy was kind of a reinvigoration for the Jurassic franchise after it went on a 14-year hiatus after Jurassic Park 3, a movie that not particularly everybody enjoyed, but of course it has its fans. But with the World trilogy came a lot of different new aspects and a lot of changes to the overall look and feel of this franchise as a whole. One of those being the designs, like the design style of their creatures. Now, this shift is definitely not a fan favorite across the board. There are a lot of folks who don't necessarily enjoy the designs, myself included, but I will say that there are some designs that stand out as being genuinely good designs and ones that I would place as my favorites when thinking about the Jurassic franchise. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be listing my 5 favorite Jurassic World designs. These are specifically animals that were designed for the World trilogy and Camp Cretaceous because, I consider that as a part of the, the whole World trilogy. And this is a point where I encourage everybody who comes across this video to also list your 5 favorite dinosaur or prehistoric creature designs for the Jurassic World trilogy. Not for Jurassic Park, like not Velociraptor, not T-Rex. We're only focusing on World. I'll do Jurassic Park in another dedicated video, but just the Jurassic World creatures for now. So the first design that I want to take a look at is the Carnotaurus design. Now, I absolutely love this design. One of my rule of thumbs, I've mentioned this a few times, but one of my rules is that if you can tell what the animal represents or what the design represents, then it's a good design. And I can definitely tell that this is a Carnotaurus. It has everything that makes a Carnotaurus, like the horns, it has the stubby face, it has the basic body shape, it has a bumpy back, which Carnotaurus did have a kind of bumpy hide. It wasn't osteoderms like how it's portrayed in the movie, but the right idea is there. And as well as the stubby arms, which were basically just wrists. That's pretty much all that Carnotaurus had. And so all in all, I think that it was a very, very good design of Carnotaurus. It of course showed up in Fallen Kingdom, Dominion in a really cool Malta sequence, and Camp Cretaceous, where it kind of had a main character status as Toro, who was an antagonist for our characters. Now that show might have partaked in a little bit of Carnotaurus abuse here and there, but for the most part, it was a really solid portrayal of the animal and really fun to see it in the World trilogy in general. Like an animal like this definitely makes sense considering the fact that it made its appearance all the way back in the Lost World novel, which is the sequel to Jurassic Park, the first original novel. But of course, they were extremely horrifying in the Lost World novel, but they are still portrayed really well in the movies, I think. Next up, and focusing on Camp Cretaceous, I will say the Nothosaurus. I think that the Nothosaurus inclusion was extremely cool because it's a lesser known animal, and that always makes my heart happy whenever I see lesser known extinct animals on the big screen because it kind of gives the viewing audience a little bit more of an opportunity to get introduced to creatures that they probably wouldn't have known otherwise. Because for the most part, when people think of creatures that were extinct for millions of years, their minds immediately jump towards dinosaurs and not these other non-dinosaur creatures that obviously existed. And just seeing something like Nothosaurus on screen was really cool, and its design was awesome. It definitely looked like a Nothosaurus. It had all of its key attributes, and the overall function it had in the show was really fun as well, especially seeing it briefly interact with a Dilophosaurus. It was just, all in all, it was really fun. Absolutely loved seeing it. Next up is a pretty brief one though, and that would be Dreadnoughtus, only showing up in the prologue and of course Dominion later on. Now it only had very few quick segments, but I absolutely love sauropods, and seeing one like this, especially one that's kind of lesser known, really not anymore, showed up in this and in Prehistoric Planet, so I think it has a little bit more of a household name, at least a little bit more. Its portrayal isn't too accurate, all things considered, but it's still a really cool portrayal. I just think that sauropods are like really majestic and really like a sight for sore eyes, and like a creature like that actually existed is just so mind-boggling to me. And I think that the way that they designed the Dreadnoughtus kind of embodies that. It's of course a massive sauropod. It has a really thick neck and proportionally just looks really cool. And again, I really liked its portrayal in the movie. Just a shame that we didn't get to see more of it, but still really cool to see it. And next up is another relatively brief one, but I absolutely love its design. That would be Nasutoceratops. Now, I love ceratopsians. They're like one of my favorite groups of dinosaurs ever. So usually when a ceratopsian comes on the screen, I get a little bit more particular about its design, and I think that they pretty much nailed it with the Nizoodoceratops. It's of course not perfect. There are a lot of differences to this one and its real life counterpart, but for the most part, they definitely got the basic way that Nizoodoceratops looks, and I just think it looks awesome. It of course appeared in Battle at Big Rock, the short film, and in Dominion briefly for small little sections, but of course it had more of the spotlight in Battle at Big Rock, and I absolutely loved his portrayal there. We get to see a baby one, which was really fun. You know, we also saw that in Dominion, but it was really fun in Battle at Big Rock because we see the parents defending the baby from an Allosaurus. And this also segues into my next thing. I love that we got to see some sexual dimorphism between the Nizoodoceratops parents, as in the male looks completely different to the female. I thought that was a really nice touch and, like, you know, really creative. I really like that they took the time to do that, to just design a completely new model. Just for that quick little segment. Like, they didn't even use the model anymore. I don't believe it showed up in Dominion. It might have. You know, the whole ceratopsians being taken by the poachers thing was pretty brief, but I don't think they used it. It was still really cool that they included it, and its design also looks really cool. So yes, I absolutely love the Nizoodoceratops design. And finally, another Dominion one, I will have to say the Dimetrodon. Now, the Dimetrodon in Dominion is definitely in no way accurate. It's a lot more reminiscent to the old lizard-like Dimetrodon that we used to view it as, kind of like sprawled out stance, really bumpy skin, dragging its belly all over the place and dragging its tail on the ground. Of course, our view of Dimetrodon is pretty updated. It has more of an upright stance with its legs underneath its body, and its tail is not dragging, as well as having smoother skin in general. Synapsids are, of course, a lot more related to mammalians, so they possess traits that were a lot more reminiscent of that. But the reason why this is my favorite is, of course, aside from accuracy, is because it makes me feel nostalgic about the way that we used to view Dimetrodon. Because, of course, I was a dinosaur kid. I grew up with all things prehistoric, and that includes these old Permian prehistoric creatures, such as Dimetrodon. Because, of course, you would. It always shows up in the toy packs with other dinosaurs, even though it's not a dinosaur itself. But it's always portrayed as being the kind of, like, reptilian type creature, and that's exactly what we see in Dominion. So something like that definitely takes me back to what I grew up with, and so that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love its design. And one of the ways that I think that a lot of the designs should have been applied in the World Trilogy, I think that they should have kind of like looked at what this creature looked like at the time Jurassic Park released, and kind of like designing it around there. That way it kind of fit the style a little bit more. Because, of course, Jurassic Park, it was very 90s with its dinosaur designs. The portrayals were what the animals looked like in the 90s. So, you know, making the new portrayals look like they did in the 90s would definitely fit that style. But I digress. I really like the Dimetrodon design. I thought it was really well done. I really liked the sequence in which it popped up too. I thought it was very well lit, especially with this shot, with the torch kind of illuminating the sail. The animatronics looked really good. All in all, really fun. But that is my list. Those are my 5 favorite Jurassic World creature designs. So if you have different ones, be sure to let us know in the comments what your favorite designs are and why, you know, and let's have a little bit of a discussion about it. That's all I really have to say right now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.